and we'll be starting at the top of the hour. Seeing that number jump up there on the participants. Good to see everyone this morning. We're going to probably wait just a few more minutes till just a few after the top of the hour to make sure we get any of those maybe non-early risers, make sure they get in here to the business meeting. I'll be turning it over to our SRM leadership here in just a few moments. Still seeing that number climb on folks joining us here this morning. I know we could all use a little elevator music maybe here in the background, so we'll work on that for next time. But just want to make sure everyone knows we are just about ready to go live with the business meeting.
Kelly, this is Jess. Where's the coffee at?
The virtual setting, you've got to rely on yourself for that one.
My jokes are as bad virtual as they are in person then? Okay, yeah, duly noted. Noting that for next year. Thanks. Yep, moving on. Coffee's in the back, folks. Hopefully we've made plenty for the show here.
Just so folks know, we'll also have some meeting announcements at the end of the business meeting as you go into your day. So be sure to stick around for the full business meeting here this morning, as we'll have some important announcements both throughout the meeting and at the end. All right, Jessen. First VP Poncho Ortega, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'll give one last shout out here to our presenting sponsors, Corteva and NRCS, as we do switch it over here so that we can begin today's business meeting.
Well, good morning. We'll get started here with the 2021 SRM business meeting and the 74th annual meeting for the Society for Range Management. Looking a little different here this morning, but we're really, really glad we've got an outstanding turnout here at this business meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really happy to be here and have you here. And how about this annual meeting, folks? We're going on day 3 now. And it's been an incredible set of events. Hats off to you presenters, hats off to the participants, and hats off to our planning committee. It really came together. So thank you. No surprise, this society would get it done during these challenging times. You don't even act like there's a challenge in the world out there right now, the way everyone's getting after it and engaging, presenting, and the good communications going on in the chat rooms and everything. So outstanding. Thank you all so much again for being here. First VP, President in Waiting, Ortega and I are going to be working through the show here today, along with our esteemed colleagues on the board and staff. We regret to inform you that our president, Charlie Hart, and his family are like several now across the country suffering from the bad weather elements. Our thoughts are going out to Charlie as he and his family work through a very challenging setting right now with regards to weather and whatnot. They are safe, they are well, but President Hart will not be joining us here today. And Vice President Ortega and I will be standing in and working through this presentation accordingly. Charlie does send his best, noting that, of course, this would be the year where COVID made the early end and current issues that we're facing with, and of course, some weather-related issues. So our Texan has always got a sense of humor to him. He did say, please don't let that throw off any of you that want to put your hat in the ring for the board or officers candidate. There really can't be a worse setting than what Charlie went through. He promises that moving forward. Again, this year, for all of its challenges, has been an actually pretty good year. You're going to see that when we walk through the business or through the financials. You'll see, thanks to you all, thanks to sections and strong meetings, we've done a good job to hold the line, so to speak, to have a good reserve cash flow, a reserve good operating account, the endowment's doing well, and all the rest. Plus, again, strong annual meetings, membership, grants and agreements, all the above are going quite well. And strong fiscal management with regards to keeping our overhead down and all the things that we've put into place. So compliments to our budget, our finance committee, our host sections, board members, and the like that have worked really hard. And of course, you, the membership, that have done an incredible job. Special hat tip to Denver. They had a successful meeting last year. The Denver Planning Committee, folks, you look at the strength and the power of the Denver Planning Committee. Do you realize they got all of that stuff done before the global pandemic happened? I think the Society for Range Management, one of the few societies that actually got their meeting done before the pandemic kicked off. So something about the Denver Planning Committee, did they have an intuition or knowledge or insight that we didn't have? They must have, because they got it all done and then the world shut down. Might not be the best joke there, but seriously, the timing, we were very fortunate to have that when we did. We always worried about in the society of being just on the wrong side of that timing. If you'd have had folks not able to attend, food and beverage and all those types of costs and whatnot there. And again, fortunately, the Denver Planning Committee, you, the membership, everyone got involved in 2020. In 2020, had a successful meeting and off to the races accordingly there as far as all that we needed to have. And again, we'll go over that a little bit in the financials. So as we look at that, that was the one thing that went really well as far as being able to get that under our belts in a successful meeting. From there, I compliment the board, certainly under President Hart's leadership, of sitting down and making a very tough decision. The Boise Planning Committee, we were supposed to be, as you know, in Boise here in 2021. They were doing an incredible job. Fortunately, they agreed to pivot to 2023. And so we sat down at that point. It was agreed amongst the officers and board that we had better move in a virtual setting. And so, again, compliments Karen Launchbaugh, Lysandra, Kelly Fogarty and the rest, Barry Irving, the entire planning committee. I know I'm not supposed to list because if I do, I won't start naming enough names, but a lot of folks really stepped up and helped us move into that virtual setting. And compliments to President Hart, some difficult decisions as far as what the timing should be, what the planning should be like, how it should be coordinated and the like, even getting platforms in the whole 9 yards up and running. So again, certainly some challenging elements, but again, this board, your leadership met it head on, worked together as a unit. I was just really, really impressed staffing as your executive vice president, staffing the board this year as they were taking on some pretty big challenges and whatnot. So again, let's walk through 2020. We had a successful meeting in Denver, went very well, made a pivot for the virtual meeting. We also had our summer meeting, went virtual. And again, that kind of presents a whole new line of challenges. There's something about virtual does an extremely good job across the board as far as being able to interact. We do miss that in-person interaction. And so that made our summer meeting, again, we met those challenges head on. So some were made easier, some were made difficult, but we got through it. Let's see, 2020, was there anything else you could throw at us? Let me see. Oh, that's right. We are missing one of the greatest staffers in the history of the society, our very own Vicki Trujillo. I got the call I never, ever wanted to get. However, we'd been preparing for that. We had a lot of internal conversations about when that day would come, that we would do everything we possibly could for our dear Vicki Trujillo to make sure her transition was stellar and as comfortable and as smooth as we could possibly make. I compliment the board, I compliment the staff, and of course, Vicki. Now, you can imagine being the poor soul that had to get that call that night. Our dear Vicki called me up and she said, Jess, I've been weighing on this heavily. And if it wasn't for the membership, I'd have probably stepped down a while ago. I love the membership, and we've been able to work with her the past year with regards to just keeping the office the way she wanted, a staff team around her. So we've done a lot to really kind of build a team. And I like to take, like we all like to be positive, the fact that we think we extended Vicki's time with SRM a few more years longer than she planned. So for anybody that was surprised, I think we got an extra 3 to 5 years out of Vicki in any regard because of just the positive and wonderful setting at the society. So again, we sat down in that regard, the officers. President Hart spent a lot of time with this on working through the transition. Okay. And we committed to Vicki to making sure it was a very positive ease in transition as much as possible. We were able to offer her some exciting parting gifts and make sure that she was properly taken care of, compensation, retirement, and things of that nature. Some pretty cool parting gifts. So just everything that I'm sure the membership would be pleased and proud of. We did it. There's rumors we might still be able to sneak her back for an annual meeting up ahead, but I can't make any commitments under confidentiality agreements and whatnot. We can't say whether or not we're going to pull Vicki back in, but I can tell you her staff and a lot of you are very influential. We might pull her in just yet again to spend some time with us at an annual meeting. Again, her mother, getting up there in years, she's led an incredible life, but now needs a little bit more hands-on experience. And of course, Vicki has her wonderful kids that she likes spending time with in URA. So she moved up there, kids and grandkids, and her mother. So she's in a very, very happy place, and everything worked out very well for her. And she sends us pictures from time to time, and we still have her available if we need to reach out for institutional knowledge. We have that. She's compensated for that and the like. So again, incredible situation there as we dealt with the transition with Vicki. So a couple things is that transition, because it really plays into how we are dealing with the day-to-day operations of the society. And so you're seeing some familiar faces within the staff. You'll see that in our video presentation here shortly. And so you'll see the staff in action. Okay, we have some new faces. We worked with an interim staffing team, and then we're looking to finalize that team in their role. No, you do not replace a Vicky Trujillo. You all know that, not with one person anyway. So what we did is we rearranged some positions to cover her capacities in her portfolios, and then we're working through that. So notably, Mary Jo Foley-Burncott is spending a little bit more time as she's our director of membership services. The titles, we don't really do titles very much here at the society, so I'm going to struggle with titles. So I'll just reference the person and the portfolio because of your work in various committees and functions within the society. So Mary Jo now is staffing portions of Vicky's portfolio. Kelly Fogarty, our Senior Director of Operations, who you've been hearing from quite a bit, she's helping out in that role. We also have Kelly Polzine. She's helping out with the day-to-day office administrative duties. And so she's kind of making sure all of the stuff that happens in the office setting is taking place. You'll notice if you mail anything in right now, membership goes into Lawrence. Kelly Polzine is based in Wichita, Kansas. So if you mail something by snail mail, the usual mail that comes in, KP, we call her KP. We have two Kellys. So KP processes all of that. So if you send something in certification, if you send some endowment donations in, she processes that and then electronifies it and the like. So Kelly Polzine's playing a role in those day-to-day off procedures. She'll also be staffing and working with the committees too, and you'll see more of that as we move forward. And Allison Grove, she's our director of programs based in Townsend, Montana. She's helping out. She's been helping out with publications. She'll be helping out with certification, publications, and again, kind of the special projects as they come up. So Allison's done a really, really good job in that role, and we're looking to see kind of building out her portfolio too as it links to that. So that's kind of the piece that we're working on within Vicky and the work that she's doing. And of course, we continue to rely on Kristen Albers, our director of finance. You're going to see her on outstanding work, compliments of the budget and finance committee as we go through the financials here shortly. Amanda Miller serves as our website webmaster. And then Leah Biondo is our director of policy and federal affairs, keeping SRM at the table in every way, shape, or form in our nation's capital. And of course, working globally on International Year of Rangelands. So working kind of in a global and DC role, plus, interacting with their Canadian and Mexican counterparts and whatnot. Leah's helping out here too on the live stream. Of course, the entire team has been doing an incredible job behind the scenes on that. Chris Lapine, our director of membership services, Weather has him out and about. He continues to be an incredible part of our membership program, services program through Allen Press. So that is your SRM staff team and doing an incredible job. This is the most staffing components we've had in a very long time. Again, it continues to be heavy on a virtual model. Pretty good setting as you look at this past year to have that virtual model. Primarily independent contractors working to staff the roles. So again, all the work gets done. We've looked at a kind of a strategic positioning to know what portions of the work and portfolios need to be stepped up through the years. We're doing just that. As you see more emphasis on publication, certification, outreach and membership, training and agreements, annual meeting. Kelly Fogarty does more work now with annual meetings. So you're seeing a larger set of services towards the membership with a continued flatline, very small overhead when you don't have various retirement packages, insurance, phones, office expenses, and all the above. So we're literally able to put that into professional services, servicing and staffing the society versus the old bricks and mortar model. Now, again, I make this abundantly clear. Your board makes it abundantly clear. If you want to go back to the bricks and mortar model, having the overhead, having that increased staff overhead, having that increased cost, tens and tens of thousands of dollars, that's certainly you're positioned to do that. You're completely able to do that. So if folks want to go back to that, say, hey, we want to buy a building, or we want to have a lease, and we want to have more costs, more overhead, and put everything in, because we feel that that's a direction to go. The society can go in that direction. Right now, we're seeing the largest amount of reserve operating reserve, along with the largest amount of services offered that we've done in a long time. So we've built a staffing model that's extremely functioning, but if those modifications need to be made and change that along the way, we certainly can do that. And it's on that note that President Hart and the officers wanted me to make sure that I walked through just kind of where we're at as it links to the Denver office. We kept that office, man, it was kind of a recruiting tool to keep Vicky Trujillo around. So we kept an office in Littleton. We didn't get any traffic there. We brought in some elections. The elections committee would come in and help with elections. Now we can still work with sections in Kansas and do that. There's ways to modify that. Again, the society is an international society. We can really be based anywhere because we have membership across the globe that we can interact with. So as it stands right now, we closed the Denver office, slight savings there in the office space, and several costs we had in that office. Again, we were utilizing it for two things: for storage and for making sure Vicky had a place to work and operate from. We took that, and thank you, President Hart. He came up to Denver this summer, and we socially distanced, did everything appropriately, and moved that office. So what we did is we took all of the items that were basically just paying Denver storage rates in an office and put that into a storage in Billings, Montana. That storage is now, we can have two options with it. One, we still need someone to volunteer for archives. And I talk archives, a lot of folks say, well, it needs to go to University of Wyoming. We actually need to decide on the archives and get a bunch of work scanned in. So if you're interested in archiving, please get in touch with us. And again, I've heard from folks saying, yes, just send it to University of Wyoming. I can assure you, we can't send everything from this mini storage up to Wyoming. We need to go through a process. So incoming First VP Launchbaugh and I will be working on that. These are very important documents. Again, they're in a safe, secure place. We do need to make sure they were just been stacking up the last 10 to 15 years. So we do need to get those scanned in and properly archived and all the above. So that's kind of something we'll be rolling up our sleeves in the days ahead. We do have some items that are pretty neat for display and things of that nature. There's been discussions about creating a display conference room in Billings, Montana. I sublet with Intertribal Ag Council where my office is based at. So just linking there, expanding out some room there so that folks could come in. We could do some meetings and interactions if needed. Again, this display room could go anywhere from Oregon to California, back to Colorado, New Mexico. It really could go anywhere. So we've built this model and it's there. Your stuff is taken care of. I can assure you of that. We're looking at how we can display these different items and things of the like. We do have everything. Again, I can't emphasize enough. We've taken care of it. We've put it in a good place. And again, we have the staff that are in play. And as we move to make some decisions, we're going to keep the membership informed. So again, a lot went on in 2020. And I want to tip my hat to the board, officers, and President Hart for all the hard work and effort he put into it. It was really incredible to work through all of that and see the process and progress that we've had. So with that, we're going to turn it over. You're going to see the year in review video. Mary Jo Foley-Byrne does an incredible job on this. She also helps out with the awards videos and the like. We're very, very fortunate. There's a role that we've continued to increase throughout the years. So you're going to hear from our year in review video, and then we're going to go through the financials, and then we'll keep working through our meeting. So with that, and please, you have my information on the website. Every spammer seems to have it too, so there's no reason not to be able to contact me. My direct line is on there. Call me, email me, reach out in any way, shape, or form. We're always open to any types of suggestions or questions or anything like. We are committed to transparency and complete openness as to how every single element of the society functions. But at the end of the day, staffing and delivering an incredible professional experience for each and every member of the Society for Range Management. So with that, take a look at our year in review 2020 video. Team, please play the video. Thank you so much.
"2020 brought new challenges for all of us. The impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic have been felt across the globe, and our most sincere hope is that you are all weathering the storm. Despite the complexities throughout the year, the SRM membership showed remarkable resilience and sustained passion for rangeland management. Here are some of the ways we navigated change, built community, and found success. Hailing from From Texas, we were led this year by SRM President Dr. Charles Hart. He was supported by a dedicated board of directors and staff. We began the year with a high attendance at the 2020 annual meeting in Denver, Colorado. The theme of the meeting was transformation and translation, and the planning committee, they took extra steps to be innovative and think outside the box. The annual meeting included Ignite Talks, campfire sessions, and the first ever range practicum, which featured horse and mule packing, prescribed fire, and wild horse demonstrations, to name a few. A few short months later, the disruption of the pandemic took hold. SRM was quick to adapt to the virtual world of 2020 and began implementing special interactive programs to continue to provide membership services during challenging times. The leadership, members, and staff immediately went to an innovative thought process and looked to the positives and possibilities of virtual settings. SRM was proactive in pivoting our annual meeting to the virtual format, and leaders within the society stepped up to the plate to quickly assemble a planning committee for the New Frontiers virtual meeting. We will look forward to returning to in-person meetings down the road with our 75th annual meeting in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 2022, followed by Boise, Idaho in 2023. To conduct important business of the society, the board of directors also held the summer board meeting over Zoom this year and continued to hold all monthly board meetings in that format. Typically held in Washington, D.C., SRM hosted the annual interagency range meeting virtually as well. It was very successful, with attendance by leaders from most of the land management agencies including Forest Service, Agricultural Research Service, Natural Resource Conservation Service, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, United States Geological Survey, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, and Departments of State. Another milestone of 2020 was the retirement of longtime SRM staff member Vicki Trujillo. Vicki not only had years of institutional knowledge with the society, she was a true SRM family member. It was bittersweet, but we were so happy to see her embark on her next stage with her family. With the retirement of Vicki and the staff working in a virtual capacity, the board made the decision to vacate the Denver office and move all files and archives to storage in Billings, Montana. This option is always there for future leadership should they decide if they would like a physical office presence. Without a doubt, there were a lot of changes for SRM in 2020. These changes were met without disruption, which reflected the forethought of leadership and years of strong fiscal management. With the transition in staffing, we welcomed new faces to the SRM staff team. Kelly Polzine, SRM's new Director of Office Services, is based in Wichita, Kansas. Kelly assists with central filing, committee support, awards, and elections. Allison Grove, SRM's new Director of Programs based in Townsend, Montana, is assisting with certification programs, publications, and accreditation. SRM has spent many years building our capacity for the staff, and we've been fortunate to add the expertise of these two individuals to the team. Our society is blazing a pathway forward with vision and focus. This year, SRM developed a Committee on Diversity and Inclusion and 3 task forces, including the International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralist, SRM Journals Open Access Certification, and Ecosystem Services Task Forces. These join a list of already established committees that are driving initiatives and guiding our society. They provide recommendations for policy and financial decisions, steer membership and outreach, promote professional education and collaboration, and provide a forum for the exchange of science and management of rangelands. These committees are led by SRM members that are stepping up to the task and are dedicated to making an impact. We urge all SRM members to connect with a committee and get involved for the betterment of SRM and rangeland management. SRM's success in this challenging year reflects the hard work and dedication our membership puts into this organization. We've been engaged and forward-thinking, seeking ways to be innovative and grow in partnership in rangeland community. We've delivered on our commitment to provide unparalleled support for rangeland science and management, and we've continued our resolve for providing leadership for the stewardship of rangelands. thank you. Thank you for being part of the SRM community. Here's to continued optimism and impact in 2021.
Well, I never know how to quite follow that there, First VP Ortega. You're coming up here shortly. Again, as you can see, we had a lot going on, but I want to just take a moment and see if it seems like we're extremely enthusiastic and excited and upbeat. We are. But if you notice a very key theme in all of those action shots, it's the membership. It's you, the membership. Each and every one of those elements is all tied back to the membership and your ideas and your involvement. And we're just the ones here channeling all the great ideas and interactions that you folks have. So again, I really hope as you look at that, you look at it as how we as staff do. We get to spend time. We have the best jobs in the whole world. We get to interact with folks like you each and every day, carrying out your passion. So stay with us now. First VP Ortega and I are going to go through your financials. So I'm going to work on my screen share. I know you all have been doing this a lot better than I have. So bear with me here, and I might have to call in an audible as I get some assistance. And we have just a few files that happens here, but we are getting through it. Thank you. All righty. Okay, so I will show you right now. Hopefully that's, I don't know if I need to zoom in more on that. Can we see that all right out there, folks? Do I need to zoom in? I don't know if I can zoom much more in here. But again, this will be part of this information that we're sharing here today. It's mailed out in your annual meeting report, or the SRM 2020 annual report. So it's mailed out to each and every member. It's also found on the website. So again, commitment to transparency in the books and where we're at. So just pretend I'm a better version of me, i.e. Charlie Hart is speaking right now as I'm walking through some key elements with him. I'm going to get my handy dandy pen out here, and we're going to talk just a little bit about where we're at with the financials and things of that nature. Now, again, what we have is oftentimes certain presidents, the joke is, are more generous to incoming presidents because of how their fiscal year wraps up and where the cash flow hits. As you all know, our fiscal year wraps up July 31st. Okay. So that means that we close out on the 31st. So if you don't have all the grants and agreements like you see here, invoiced and whatnot, it's going to show a negative. The reason it's a negative is those invoices are coming in the following months. That's where that's at. And so you're seeing Poncho here smiling because he's actually going to get that cash in his operating account coming up here shortly. Now we say that it's all going back to when you see our reserves and whatnot, making sure we have a strong reserve operating and things of that nature. So though that would be the number you see there. And then admin and journal expenses, again, that just came in. It shows as a negative. But again, it was timing on invoices and where cash flow was coming in and coming out. So those are two areas that you'll see in the red, but all in all, cash flow and budget numbers were pretty much on track as we expected and as we budgeted accordingly. Now, one of the things that we talk about is our annual meeting. Our annual meeting is known as having it's net neutral, meaning we don't need each year. We don't need the earnings to keep the budget afloat. Okay, so what we typically do is we take any of the earnings and we place that into our reserve, and then there's carryover dollars, and a lot of that cash goes into programs and outreach to the society. We have continued to increase the amount of committee spending. So we went from next to zero in committee spending 5 years ago to now upwards of $40,000 back. So when you see this, nearly $100,000 come in from an annual meeting, yes, then that goes right back out. Ironically enough, or coincidentally in a very positive way, goes to the committees. So thank you, committees, for applying for that. And a lot of times committees will do something at the annual meeting. So it goes right back to the section, the host. So no, when a meeting does well, as you see here, Denver did extremely well. And we had that netted 124,000. That goes on, and then we still had to carry over 100,000. Well, what does all that mean? Well, that means that when you get to the point of planning in advance, and again, that's kind of what we look for in an SRM, right? It's all about how you're doing your preventative maintenance and advanced planning so that you never get caught in a drought saying, well, we've been doing our planning. We've been in this mitigation mode for quite some time. So what does that mean? In this year, we took some carryover from the Denver annual meeting profit, and we spent less in Charlie's budget. And you'll see we placed that into Poncho's budget here. And so you see that 80,000, well, I just crossed it out, but that 80,000 goes in there. We even still took some of that annual profit. We say Denver, but that's a combination of carryover from the other meetings. We put another 40,000 into Karen. So as she goes and works on hers, moving ahead here, and it's still, you see, we still have a net of 50,000. And when you look through our reserve accounts and whatnot, our reserve account right now is sitting at 600,000 plus. So we have that. Now, again, folks are going to say, well, I think things are looking pretty good, pretty strong. Why aren't you spending more or going in a different direction? Well, we can tell you right now, we have to do advanced spending on annual meetings, on reserving the rooms, the conference centers, and the like. Those can run at $20,000 to $30,000 in advance. We also run the risk if we ever missed a food and beverage. Again, you could be cutting some pretty large checks there. So we're very, very focused. The society actually needs a pretty large swath of cash to operate. We are very fortunate, again, to be able to have built up the reserves, and we are planning. We're very focused on the fact that we might just have to dip into those at some point. But again, with the model we have, you're seeing, thanks to you all and your tremendous participation, we've been able to have a successful annual meeting here. But that, even with those dollars where they're at, there's still going to be a massive drop from what an in-person annual meeting would be. So again, fortunately, we took the earnings from previous annual meetings, and we're going to kind of spread that out over the next 2 fiscal year cycles. So hopefully, as we get back on track, we can see those numbers increase. So again, we're in a pretty healthy situation there. With committees, the committees put in a lot of requests for cash this year. They were funded, but they didn't actually pull that money out because there's not an in-person meeting. So what does that mean? That means that we have our staffing and our day-to-day operations covered. The additional activities will be something that we look at as we kind of move forward, this quote unquote new norm we're living in. A few key elements, hat tip to, and I'm going to turn it over here to Poncho Ortega, First VP Ortega. His budget committee did a really good job of just coming up with 2 budgets, kind of a best case scenario and worst case scenario for a budget, a Dodge or a Pinto budget, if you will. And so we worked through that in the Dodge and in the high level budget, in the best case scenario budget. We talked about updating the website, because that came through outreach communication website committee saying we need to improve the website. We need to modernize it. We just got done redesigning it, so we need to update it again. So that came out. And that came out as a recommendation. So that is in there, and things of that nature, certification, enhanced outreach through some of our membership programs and whatnot. So again, we're trying to deliver as that cash is up there and delivering the results external. And then as we kind of have to tighten it up, for some reason our numbers get a little bit off, then we would pull back from some of these kind of interactions, outreach of programs and functioning and whatnot. So again, I think we're operating, and this is compliments to our budget committee, our finance committee, our officers. Everyone really, really dials it in right now. We've been fortunate to have a few good years, but those good years were made better by the fact we really cut down our overhead. And that's just like in anything, you're going to notice those good years. So that now we can kind of plan for, okay, what happens next? So speaking of what happens next, again, First VP Ortega, incoming President Ortega, has done a really fine job with his budget committee of putting together your fiscal year 2020 2021 budget. Poncho, you want to take it from here? You're on mute, Poncho, you're on mute. You're all right.
Bear with me, guys. You have to remember I'm just an educated cowboy that is taking Charlie's responsibility because my good friend Charlie is passing for some difficult times. But I'm going to share my screen here. Something is not happening with it. I'm not able to share my screen. Or
You're showing it, Poncho, and I can show your screen if you need to in a second.
No, I got it. All right, good.
You see.
Oh, I got it. All right. Before we get into the financials for 2021, I would like to thank the budget and the finance committee for working with us, putting together all this budget for the fiscal year 2021, and later on approving it. I would also like to thank Director Pat Johnson for her leadership and hard work with the finances and the budget committee, as well as everything that is that related to the economics of our society. As just mentioned, we were instructed by the finance committee to put together two budgets: a base case scenario, and, our normal rain year, and a worst case scenario, our drought year. That worst case scenario was considering the possibility of the economy of our society going worse than what we were expecting. In both cases, we had a reduction of 15% compared to the budget of 2020. After the meeting of the finance committee on February 8th, we were basically recommended to stay on course with the base case scenario for fiscal year 21. This is great news because considering that the major income of SRM is our annual meeting, and we were going to have the virtual meeting, we were predicting that the income would be greatly reduced. However, we needed an attendance of 750 people to break even with our annual meeting. And at this point, we have over 1,500 attendance. So with that said, we will do better than what we were projecting. I would like to thank all the members that registered for this virtual meeting. I am as disappointed as you guys about having this virtual. You know, I'm an old man, so being face to face is my preferred way. With that said, I have been pleasantly surprised of the attendance to some of the discussions that and question answer sessions that we've been having. I had the opportunity to participate in the question answer session that Director Johnny Walker was conducting. And there was a point where we had 96 people in the forum. I don't remember seeing that many people in a face-to-face meeting engaged in discussions. And as much as I would like to go on a face-to-face meeting for Albuquerque, we might need to consider the virtual meetings as part of this. In that same forum that Johnny Walker was leading yesterday, we got some suggestions from people from outside of the continental US that said, you know, we would like to have the next year at least a hybrid. So the ones that are far away in Mexico or Hawaii, if they cannot afford the trip to Albuquerque, they still can participate in the virtual. So that is going to be something to consider for the planning committee of Albuquerque next year. So we consider a budget of $110,000 for our virtual meeting compared to 464 that we had for the Denver meeting. We needed we were projecting that $75,000 would come from registration. We are far ahead of that, and then the rest to complete the $110,000 would come from sponsorships from NRCS and Corteva. We thank them for the support. The main changes in this budget are in the funding that we are providing for committees. Everybody or every committee place a request with a list of activities they want to do. However, we made a big change in students' activities. We added $7,000 for that committee, and this was to be used as cash awards for all the student competitions. I know that at the time when some of the old fellows like me and others used to do student competitions, we didn't need much incentive other than come to the meeting and do what we loved. But at this point, things are changing, and I have the experience of the Texas section where we went from having 15, 20 students participating to move to close to 100 in every meeting. So with that experience, I wanted to provide incentives to all the students participating in the meeting. And the best example is with the Plant ID. The Plant ID teams had no cash awards. They had plaques, but not cash awards. So we placed enough resources in there to provide a cash award of $1,000, $500, and $300 for first, second, and third place teams, respectively. Now, the individual placing of the students, the only place that had $500 cash award was the first place individual. We added money in there for the second and third place individuals. Plant ID is one of the most important skills for range managers, and whatever we can do as a society to improve or incentivize young fellows to become experts on that, that is going to be very important for accomplishing our mission. And in addition to that, Plant ID teams work so hard to get here that a cash award is well deserved. We added also $25,000 to support young scientists and professionals. We are not going to use that money because we went virtual, but we're expecting to move that money to the Albuquerque meeting and then have more young people attending the meeting. The times are difficult, and it's sometimes when you are at the beginning of your career, you can be very appreciative if we as a society support your traveling to the meeting. I remember that very vividly at the beginning of my career, long time ago, but I still can remember how we struggled to attend meetings. So with that said, our meeting in Denver was a very productive one. And as Jeff just mentioned, we are using $80,000 of the profits in Denver for my budget. we have $120,000 that we could use. However, we are being cautious and we are saving $40,000 to be included in 22 budget that Karen will be developing during this year, just in case something happen and we run into a more difficult situation than what we already have. So we have this 80,000 that we're going to be using in this year budget, and we are saving the other 40 for the next year for the next year budget. At the end, and with the recommendation of the finances committee to stay on course with budget best case scenario, we after the transfer to reserves, we are going to end up with a net profit of over $5,000, and that is basically what I have in the budget and the financials for 21. Thank you very much.
Okay, and again, we're getting some questions in the chat box or just conversations, but that is, I prefer just with timing and whatnot. I would prefer if we, I mean, if you want to stop sharing your screen, Poncho, that'd be great. I guess we could keep it up there. I don't know, Poncho, we probably take questions offline. I think it might get a little bit difficult. If there's one question in the comments, I'll look through it here. If there's some questions from the group, we might take a question or two here. If anybody had some questions.
I'm trying to stop sharing this thing, but I don't see how.
Oh, you can just go up there and say stop sharing. And there's been some comments coming in about virtual attendance and kind of the hybrid. And I can tell you, perfect, thank you. I can tell you this conversation of how we kind of blend the best of both worlds is certainly a topic there. So again, we appreciate that. Mary Jo, I know you're teed up for the remarks from President Hart. I'm going to just look over to the chat session here one more time, and looks like we're sitting pretty good. So again, I'll just wrap it up here as we prepare for some remarks. Let's see, when you use the revenue for this. No, that's so when we said, and again, just clarifying, Barry, great point, past President Irvin, when you use the revenue from the 2021 annual meeting budget this year, does that not mean the future budget will be short that amount? So again, we're using those dollars from the 2020 from Denver. So we're not, any of the cash that comes in this year goes simply into operating. So we're looking at, as of right now, we cover our costs. So it's still a net zero. So cost and input and output are zeroed out, and then any additional earnings would go into budgets down the line. So we've actually this year, Poncho could have taken any amount technically in the format President Irving references, past President Irving references, and said, I'm going to take all that cash and put it into different programs and projects, since it was last year's annual meeting earnings. Instead, Poncho said, I'm going to take a portion of that, but then we're also going to take a portion of that for the fiscal year 2022 budget. And we're not even talking about any earnings from the 2021. And it looks, as of right now, we should have a little bit of cash coming out of 2021. So we're actually going to take previous and put it into two advanced budgets, both in 21 and in 22. And then so hopefully as we design fiscal year 2023, we're kind of back on track. So that's a really excellent question. So again, we're using that reserve from previous and we're moving that into future. And Charlie used very, very little of that in his budget. And of course, Poncho used very little of it too. Great question. Other questions out there? That was a really good question. Okay. Yes. So thank you. And again, stay tuned for that. We'll be here next year in some way, shape, or form, talking about how these numbers are looking and how we're working on them. So with that, Mary Jo, would you play President Charlie Hart's comments and address to the society?
Well, greetings from Texas. It's been quite a year for us, hasn't it? There's been lots of happenings within SRM across the globe. We started off the year with certainly a really good meeting in Denver, and thanks to the staff and and the planning committees and things that did all that work. Such a great success and a great time that we had together. But then after that, the board of directors and the officers began to get together, and we were hit with the COVID-19 pandemic. And my first thoughts are to our members and our membership at large, and hopefully you've been able to stay healthy and stay well and to dodge the bullet, if you will. And I hope and pray that we continue to have good health and things as we move forward and we get past this pandemic thing. But it really didn't come without struggles, even from within SRM. The first piece is that really, since we were pretty much structured already to be a virtual staff and board when ready to go in that realm, it really didn't affect us a whole lot from the standpoint of meetings and things like that. Our officers and past board members and Jess Peterson have been moving more towards a virtual society, if you will, from the standpoint of coordination and staffing patterns and things like that for several years. And it paid off this year, quite frankly. We were able to move ahead, didn't really miss a beat from board meetings and staff meetings and things that SRM does to keep the organization alive and functioning. One of the first things that really hit us was the inability for us to travel as a group. And I remember Barry Irving coming into the board in late spring, early summer, and saying, we're going to have to move our meeting from Boise to a virtual meeting. And boy did he hit that one right on the head. It's not something we really wanted to do, but as it turns out, it was a good decision. We had to get out of some contracts as early as we possibly could to eliminate financial responsibilities that we would have had to convention centers and things like that. But it certainly turned out to be something that I think is going to be unique from our SRM perspective. And that group, led by Karen Launchball, has really done an excellent job pulling the meeting together and doing what they can to make it as much of a face-to-face meeting as we can virtually. So I hope you're enjoying the meeting. I hope you're taking part in the meeting. And the plans I want you to know are that we move back to a face-to-face meeting for our meeting in 2022. Those plans are going on in Albuquerque and then Boise after that. So this is something that we felt like we needed to do, something that we didn't necessarily want to do, but we're making the best of it. And we are moving forward to go back to some kind of a normality after this. The next thing that kind of hit us was our summer board meeting and our typical DC fly-in. And as you might expect, there wasn't a whole lot going on in Washington, DC during the summer months. It was pretty much vacated. So our decision was pretty much made there. We weren't able to do our normal DC fly-in. With nobody in Washington and really travel restrictions on a lot of us from an employment standpoint, if nothing else. So we didn't have our DC flying as we would have liked to. However, we were able to have our virtual or a virtual interagency range meeting, and was attended by a good group of different agencies and folks in DC. And around the country as well. So that was successful. We were able to highlight some of the programs and projects that we have going on and talk about some collaborative things that we can do in the future, as well as promote the virtual meeting. So that kind of played a little bit of role in what we were able to accomplish in things. But really, one of the things that kind of highlighted our year was kind of a sad moment for us. When our beloved Vicki Trujillo decided to retire. Vicki, I hope you're watching this. We certainly miss you. We certainly would prefer that you'd stayed with us forever, but we also understand that there are priorities in life, and we know that you're doing what you want to be doing, and we're happy for you. So Congratulations to you, Vicki, on your retirement, and stay in touch, obviously, and keep in touch with us, and hopefully you can attend some of the annual meetings in the future. But with that came the need to kind of relook at our staffing patterns and take over some of the things that Vicki was doing and things like that. And I want to say that our EVP, Jess Peterson, did just a fantastic job pulling that new staffing plan together. I think that we've made some improvements in terms of how we make connections with the society through committees, through staffing assistants and things like that. So it's been good from the standpoint of kind of reorganizing a little bit from a staffing situation, and really trying to better align staff with different aspects and different parts of SRM functions. Along with that came the decision to vacate the Denver office. As many of you know, that was a rental property. We sold our Colorado office building a while back. We still obviously have funds that were available from that sale, but we decided that without Vicki there really it was a cost that we didn't need and a cost that we could do without. So we decided to vacate that Denver office and get some savings, if you would, from that rent. And with that, what I'll say is that that doesn't have to be a permanent decision. That's a decision that the board and officers felt like was the right decision to make at the time. If in the future the officers, the board, and the staff decide that we need a physical presence and a physical office, then the resources are there to help do that. So that's something that we can think about into the future, and certainly something that is on the table if that's necessary. But right now, I think we haven't missed a beat from a staff standpoint. Jeff has monthly staff meetings along with monthly board meetings and things that help coordinate what's going on. And there's still a number that you can call that is SRM, and you get a voice at the end of that number. So I think that's a plus, and I think that we owe Jess a great deal of gratitude for the time and the effort that he spent in putting that new staffing plan together. The year didn't go all negative, though. We were able to get some things done and some accomplishments done. One of the things that was done this year was putting together a diversity and inclusion committee. Now, that was a grassroots effort that was led by our members that came to our board of directors and officers a couple of years ago and said, look, we need to look at diversity and inclusion, and we need to think about it within our society. So a task force was formed, and that task force gave us their final report at the Denver meeting. And one of their recommendations was to put together a standing committee on diversity and inclusion. So the board voted on that and voted to do that, and tasked me with putting that committee together. And that committee is now put together. It's functioning. It's under the administrative committee's division, and it's fully populated, and they have hit the ground running. I really appreciate Iric Burden and Heather Dial taking the lead on that, and they have done a lion's share of the work regarding that committee. And I appreciate what they've done. We've got a start of a handbook, a draft handbook that they've already put together, already making some activities and planning on some things. So thank you to that committee and all the folks that have agreed to work on that important topic. And we look for great things out of that committee in the future. SRM also functions with task forces in addition to committees. And we've been able to put a couple of 2 or 3 different task forces together this year to kind of look at some things. One of the first ones we did was to put together a task force to support the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So we do have an IYRP task force that involves individuals that are interested in that, and they are helping to coordinate that effort globally. And so SRM is at the forefront of IYRP and the Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So I think that's something that we'll be proud of in the future, and progress is being made there, and we're looking forward to great things. A second task force that was put together was around our publications, and it's been brought to us that we should look at some different ways to get our publications out. One is this idea of having them as open access, which kind of has some pluses, some minuses, and some things that maybe affect the society from a financial standpoint as well. So we put together a task force led by Harry Irving, is looking at the idea of taking our journals, Rangelands and Journal of Rangeland College Management, to a open access format. How that would affect society, how that would affect us financially, looking at it from an authorship standpoint and the cost to authors. The whole realm of that is being looked at. So we look for good things out of that task force when things are put together for that. And then the final one that's being worked on is an ecosystem services task force. This task force was brought to us through the committees, and said that we need this task force to look at how SRM deals with, promotes, is involved with, and educates about ecosystem services. So that one is underway as well. And then finally, you might have noticed that there was a lot of correspondence recently about committees and the ability of committees to do the work within SRM. And as I've said, through that process, the committees are the lifeblood of SRM. Most of the work that gets done in SRM is through committees, and we need involvement in committees. And so we have done a big push to highlight our committees, talk about our committees and the different types of committees that we have, and try to drum up, if you will, some support and involvement from you, the members. So I leave you with the thought of be active. Get involved in committees and start there, and then work your way through the system, and someday be willing to run for officers, board of directors, and things like that as well, because it's a volunteer society and we need your volunteerism. So thank you for all you do. It's been an honor, a pleasure for me to serve as your 2020 president. And I certainly want to thank you for the confidence that you've had in me and voting me into this role. I'll turn it over to Poncho Ortega, followed by Karen Launchball, and then Barry Perryman after that. So we've got a good slate of officers in place. We've got a good set of board of directors as well. And so SRM has nothing but great things to look forward to in the future. Thank you again.
All righty. And Poncho, we had to mute you there for a moment, so we are bringing you back. And again, folks, you got to hear from President Hart. And as you can see, a very action-packed year. But again, I can say from being in that role of EVP, the role of the board and officers, it's always an exciting adventure each and every year. But you, the membership, are extremely well served, and you see that passion, that commitment. And as I look out over this room, I know there's a lot of passion and commitment amongst the ranks. So always be thinking about when it's time. We know you put a lot into the society. It's a sacrifice. It's a commitment. But what an incredibly rewarding experience. And so I always want, anytime we wrap that up, just ask the others too, to know that it really truly is driven by the members in these leadership positions. So with that, we'll turn it over to First VP Ortega, incoming President Ortega, to continue moving along here.
Thank you, Jess. Well, the next item in the agenda is the transition of the board of directors offices. We got outgoing board of directors members, Maria Fernandez and Barry Perryman. I would like to thank both of them. And Maria did a wonderful job with the with publications and other committee, the Rangeland Ecology and Management committees. This is a lot of work, but it's a very important activity of the society, providing the opportunity for scientists within the society and in the academic world to have an outlet for publication, a good quality outlet. It's important. Maria, thank you very much for your hard work on that. And in the case of Director Barry Perryman, well, Barry was a director during the past 3 years. He's stepping down from the director position to step up as a second vice president of the society. At the end, Barry is going to have served in the board of directors for a period of 6 years. Guys, that is a lot of work and a lot of commitment. Thank you very much for your service to the society. And Barry, I look forward working with you during next year. I really appreciate your commitment to SRM. With that said, I would like to introduce the current BOD members. David Toledo. David Toledo is very active with several committees, including the International Committee and the Diversity and Inclusion Committees. Pat Johnson, I cannot stress out how much I appreciate Pat's work. She has been leading the efforts with the Finances Committee and almost everything related with the investments and the economic situation of SRM. I really appreciate that because that's a topic that I'm not an expert. Even when I do a pretty good job with the finances in my cattle operation, this is a different animal. So I need help. Thank you, Pat.
Hey, Poncho, they're staying out of this. We're going to ask them to right now start turning on their videos as they're announced. So board members, both current and oncoming board members, please turn on your video as First VP Ortega referenced. Yeah, let the membership show who's all out there. Outstanding. Thank you so much. Keep going there, Poncho.
Thank you. John Walker. Well, John came into the board about a year ago, and John is the one that has more that is acting as a liaison for more committees. And even more than that, a few days ago, I asked him to step up and be the liaison for the monitoring and assessment committee that required somebody with his experience. Thank you very much, John. Susan, we really appreciate your work with the student activities. I look forward to work with you for the next year. Thank you very much for your time working for SRM. I know we all have we will keep full-time jobs, and a few of you, and that includes me, have other businesses to run. But the commitment that the board of directors shows to accomplish the mission of SRM is really, really outstanding. Thank you very much to Maria for her hard work with us. I hope to see you running for an officer again, but I will let you forget 1 year and then we will approach you. So with that, I would like to introduce the new board members. As I said, former director Barry Perryman is now going to be the second vice president of SRM. He will have 3 more years to serve in the board. He's one of the toughest responsibilities for Barry this year. It will be populating or appointing members to committees. This has been a tough situation for everybody that has gone through. Karen Launchenbach is now in this process. Please help her out. If you are willing to work in any committee, just approach her, send her an email. She's very busy now because she's part of the organizing committee for this virtual meeting. But So the new members of the board of directors are John Taylor from Australia and Delane Atchity from here from the United States. I'm really happy to see international members becoming active in the roles of SRM. In the future, I'm hoping to see even more than that. The current officers, well, I need to introduce myself. I'm the incoming first vice president right now. Incoming president, Karen Launchenbach, is becoming the first VP. She will be responsible this year for putting together the budget. I wish her the same look that I had to work with a very active committee, and that made the process a lot easier than I thought it would be. Thank you very much to the new elected officers and to the outgoing members of the board of directors. We really appreciate your time, and I hope to you guys remain close to SRM. In terms of at this point, usually what we do is introduce the nominations, the members that are going to run for first VP and for directors. It has been a difficult year, and the nominations committee didn't finish selecting the nominees. But we will keep you posted as soon as we have a slate of candidates. We will introduce, we will present it to the members. As part of my responsibility today, stepping up since Charlie cannot be here, I would like to thank Charlie. This probably was not the situation that he wanted to have when he decided to run for office. However, that is what we got, and that is what we need to work with. Even under these difficult conditions, we can consider this a very productive year for SRM. And I really wish that Charlie was here to deliver this message in person. However, we need to adapt and be flexible and just survive. Charlie, thank you very much for your leadership. I hope you remain close to us. If you need some activity, let me know. I have plenty of ideas, and I will be calling for help. As the memories of a very successful Denver meeting fade out, and they are replaced with what is happening in this virtual meeting, that to tell you the truth, has been surprisingly good. We cannot replace the initial disappointment of not being able to see each other with the hope that we might see each other in Albuquerque in 22. I would like to introduce the organizing committee for the Albuquerque meeting, Brenda Simpson and Richard Bonine. Thank you guys for stepping up to organize our 22, our 75 Society for Range Management meeting, and our meeting in February 22. With that said, I will turn it over to Brenda and Richard, and thank you very much in advance.
You're on mute.
Thanks, Poncho, for having us on the board meeting this morning. We appreciate having an opportunity to advertise for the 2022 conference. Richard's prepared a PowerPoint, but before we start that, I would just like to also say that we have partnered with the Arizona SRM section, so they will be in force with us in Albuquerque. We will be Southwest Strong, and we're glad for that collaboration with them. The co-chairs from Arizona are Andrew Brisky and Ashley Hall, and I believe they're on the call this morning, but I don't know if they can unmute and speak. But anyway, just wanted the business boards know that they are partnering with us to pull this 2022 conference off. And with that, Richard, I don't know, Kelly, if you have the PowerPoint and can run it, or I can share my screen, either way.
Why don't you share your screen, Brenda?
Go ahead, Brenda.
Let me go up here, give me just a second. Put it at the beginning. Okay. Let's see. Tell me when you can see it. It should be a black screen and
You're good.
good? Okay.
I can see
All
it.
right.
Go ahead and
I think where do I just hit the play button, right?
yep, down at the, just go into presentation mode.
Okay, I thought I did. There it goes.
I'm not hearing audio.
Something is going on because I'm not hearing the audio. Am I the only one?
I thought Richard was going to jump in and give us some narration here. Yeah, we can't quite hear the audio, but those are some incredible pictures. Maybe we might.
Okay.
Brenda?
Yeah, Kelly, you better share it because that's the best my audio is going to do.
Okay, just give me one moment as I go ahead and tee this up. Brenda, you can go ahead and stop sharing your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Poncho, I thought you and I were going to just narrate it. We can jump in. You want to ad lib it? What do you think? I think I've got a pretty good idea what they're saying there. Better not. Okay. All right. We'll stick.
All
with
right,
it.
here, folks, I will go ahead and
It's not any better. Still no audio.
Yeah.
Kelly, you may have to unmute on your end so that we can hear it through your machine.
Yep, here we go. Hold on, just give us 1 minute. Bear with us, folks.
I got to tell you, in a successful SRM annual meeting, we're getting advice from the chat on how to present. So that tells you that folks out there have done a great job this week. So thank you all so much. You all have been through this before, so we appreciate it. Is that music coming on there, Kelly?
I'm working on it. Just give me one.
That's all right. That's all right. No, hey, thanks everybody in the chat session. That makes me pretty proud to see advice to the presenters. That shows you the networking of the society there. All right, we got some more good options coming in there. Drop down meeting. Yeah,
I'm
again,
I'm really glad that the members are smarter than the officers.
Well, you and me both, huh, Poncho? How about that? Gee, oh my. Well, and you know, I think everything works really well as far as direct presentation. It's moving this video over. Although last night the video presentations were just outstanding. I thought those came together really, really well. with the International Affairs Committee and whatnot. So hat tip to the incredible presentations last night and how that worked out pretty well. So I think there's always little bits and pieces of challenges there. And we're getting close to getting that teed up here shortly. Hey, Richard and Brenda, as we're walking through this and other folks, maybe we might just walk through just a couple of the ideas and concepts. Brenda, you can go off mute here as we're waiting for that music to kick on. You've got some pretty exciting ideas. Why don't you just touch on a couple of those, the ranch rodeo and some of these ideas you're throwing out there? I think there's some exciting things that we can kind of talk about as we're waiting for the music to come on here. Give us a few of those topics, would you?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. So our theme is sustainability through culture and innovation. We are really jumping in deep with our technical committee right now, who will be headed up by Dr. Brandon Besselmeyer. Many of you know him. He will be assisted by Dr. Derek Bailey, myself, Ashley Hall, and a whole slew of folks from the university. So we're very excited about our technical committee. We do have tour ideas to go to Acoma Sky City, which is a pueblo about an hour and 15 minutes out of Albuquerque. It's the oldest continuously inhabited city in North America. They also have livestock operations there. You'll get to see some of their grazing allotments. Kelly, you cut me off when you're ready. We
Okay,
are.
let me go ahead and I think we might be ready here.
Okay.
Let's hope for the best.
New Mexico, land of enchantment, home to scenic vistas, home to abundant wildlife such as elk, deer, and pronghorn. From time immemorial, indigenous people have inhabited both the mesas and valleys of this spacious landscape. The land provided indigenous people resources such as shelter, fiber, and food. In the 1500s, the Spanish came from Mexico. They built settlements across the landscape. As farmers, they developed irrigation systems. This photo shows the remains of a church from the 1750s. 80 years before there was a Declaration of Independence, there were mission churches in the Pueblo of Acoma and the Pueblo of Laguna. These churches are still in use to this day. With monsoon moisture, the New Mexico landscape can produce abundant forage. Without moisture, the landscape is arid and brittle, and yet, with just a little precipitation, it shows its resilience. It is against this backdrop of cultural history, landscape sustainability, and natural beauty the Arizona and New Mexico sections of the Society for Range Management cordially invite you to attend the 2022 in-person annual meeting from February 6th through the 10th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The annual meeting will be held in the newly remodeled Albuquerque Convention Center. Our host hotels will be the Hyatt Regency and the DoubleTree. Both are connected. The theme for our 75th meeting is sustainability through culture and innovation. Albuquerque is host to many attractions such as Kirtland Air Force Base, the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, Sandia Park Tramway, the New Mexico Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory, the New Mexico NRCS Plant Materials Center, and the best food in America. Whether you're coming by plane, train, or automobile, mark your calendars now for the annual meeting that will be talked about for years to come. Plan on hitting the trail, boss. We'll see you in Albuquerque in February of 2022. Thank you.
All right. Who's excited for Albuquerque? Outstanding, outstanding. So thank you so much. We finally got that outstanding video and narrative to work out. We really appreciate it. Anything else, Brenda, Richard, you want to add as we get folks ready for Albuquerque?
Absolutely, Jess. Thank you. We've got tours lined up. We're kicking around an overnight tour, potentially to go to the New Mexico border crossing, where a large amount of stocker cattle come into the United States and get dispersed in feeding operations. We're looking at potentially having a practicum with a ranch rodeo after the practicum. So we've got a lot of really great ideas. I've got a whole list here. And I challenge all the wild women of West to take the tram ride one evening. We were looking at booking that restaurant at the bottom of the tram for that usual dinner, and then everybody that wants to go up, it's a 4,000-foot ascent to the top of the Sandia Mountains. So we have a lot of fun, different things that we are planning, and we'll be glad to provide a list to this business meeting if they would like to see all those options.
All right, outstanding, outstanding. You see, they're making the most of Albuquerque. It's been a while since we've been down to the Mexico section for an annual meeting. So these folks are coming back, teaming up with Arizona section. So really, really exciting. And again, folks, in the area of the annual meeting that really makes it are the local events and venue. And you're seeing this planning committee is already off and running with that. So very exciting. Thank you, Brenda. Richard, anything else we left out?
Yeah, one of the other things we're working on is trying to integrate, a hybrid meeting, integrate some of what we're seeing here today. Karen reached out to us the other day, and after this meeting, we'll be talking with them and getting the inside understanding what it is that got done, and we're planning on integrating that into this meeting. But we'd sure love to have everybody come in person, as many as can come in person, because y'all need a hug. So I'll leave it at that.
All righty. Sounds great. Well, thanks. Anything else? Any last comments from our New Mexico Albuquerque 2022 Planning Committee?
Just want to welcome everybody to reach out to us if you have ideas. If there's some specific things you want to see, we have a lot of opportunity, and usually we have good weather, so we'll do our best to accommodate everybody's wishes.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Richard. You folks are doing a great job. I'm going to turn it back now to First VP, incoming president. He's may I be the first to introduce your president of the 2021 Society for Range Management, Poncho Ortega. So thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Richard. We're going to turn it back to President Ortega right now. We'll see you in New Mexico.
Thank you, Jess. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank Richard and Brenda, the New Mexico section and the Arizona section, to organizing the 22 meeting. I appreciate a lot all the hard work that was done in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't ready to go to a place like that for 22 when I'm in the year that I'm going to be president. I am Mexican, and I was born and raised in brush country. And here in Texas, we pull out the brush jacket when we hit 80. So With that said, Richard, Brenda, thanks for stepping in to organize this meeting. The final part of this program is a participation, or my first participation as a president of SRM. It's almost impossible to believe that many of us, the last time we traveled was to our annual meeting in Denver. That has been over a year. With that said, it has been a difficult year. However, this is a strong society. And it's easy when we have healthy finances, and we do. Thanks to the management that it has been done, and the contributions of members, we have a healthy economic situation, and that make things easier. My gratitude to past President Charlie Hart for his dedication to SRM these difficult times. This was the year that where no one wanted to be president, but the pandemic and everything else is teaching us how to adapt and be flexible. Just as in grazing management, to make it work, we need to have the flexibility to modify things. I remember very vividly my year as a second VP, and my main responsibility was to appoint members to committees. This was not easy, and I strongly encourage members to get in contact with first Vice President Karen Launchenbach. We still have time to add people to committees. Please approach her, send her an email, and be ready to be involved. This society is being led by all men because the young ones do not want to get involved. One way to start knowing your society is working on committees. You can be in more than one. Most of the committees are what we consider open. That doesn't mean that everybody can vote, but everybody can participate. And one of the committees that has made an impression on me is the Wildlife Habitat Committee. We have been trying to push people, young professionals, to be part of these committees. Well, certainly that is one committee that do not need that, because the chair and the co-chair are very young professionals, very active, and they have been very active in one of the goals that I would like to accomplish during my period. Making a strong relationships with other professional societies. The Wildlife Society is one of them. There are no better habitat managers than range people. We know soils, we know plants, and if they tell us what are the requirements of the animals they want to use, we can work with cattle, we can work with wildlife, we can work with recreation. We are good at that. However, the Wildlife Society and the Society for Range Management are highly compatible. The basis of a successful wildlife program is how you manage your habitat. With that said, I really commend the work of the Wildlife Habitat Committee, and young people get involved. Otherwise, you are going to keep seeing old people in these leadership positions. We would love to have you just get involved. I am honored to be the SRM president and the second Mexican national in the history of SRM to be president of this society. The first one was Dr. Martin Gonzalez, Don Martin Gonzalez. He was president in the 70s. And I'm not even close to his stature. Don Martin was a different kind. but I appreciate the opportunity to leave my professional home, my professional society for this year. And I appreciate very much your confidence. When I was asked to run for second VP, to tell you the truth, I didn't think you were going to elect me. That's probably why I accepted. But once elected, I have very clear goals, and one of my goals is to get more young people involved. And in this meeting, and we are taking strong steps to do so. As a student, remember the good times they have in our meetings, and we provide cash awards for all the student competitions. This is going to become a habit. We have had the experience of the Texas chapter of the Wildlife Society that we have an attendance of 400, 500 students every year. We are close to that in SRM, but providing incentives is one of my goals, and also strengthening the relationship with the Wildlife Society and other professional societies. It's going to be the one of the main goals of my PD. As a rancher, I would like to receive suggestions to get more ranchers involved in SRM. One of the first steps that we are going to take, we are going to form a task force to work on a strategy to get more ranchers involved in SRM. I already got a few volunteers for that, so that's going to be one of the first activities that the board of directors is going to work on. At the end, I think 2020 provided an opportunity to reflect on many great things that we have in SRM, and that we probably took it for granted. Nothing is granted. We have to work for it. But with that said, I look forward for a 2021 full of work and accomplishments for our rangelands. And I pray to God for guidance and direction to fulfill our mission. Thank you very much. And with that said, I will turn it over to Kelly for some announcements on the meeting.
Thank you, President Ortega. Appreciate that, and appreciate everyone who has joined us today for the business meeting and who has stuck in here and is still with us here. We know that folks are itching to get out to the rest of the meeting, but we did want to give just a few meeting announcements that will hopefully continue to help you navigate the platform both now and in the future. So when you hear me say the future, you might be wondering, well, the meeting is almost done. We've got today, and then there are a few workshops and sessions tomorrow. But one of the really big positives about having a virtual meeting is that this platform, the Cadence meeting, and all of the sessions and information in it is going to be available to you forever, or at least as long as Cadence is in business. And with that, that includes all of the recordings, all of the posters and presentations. So we know that folks have been kind of running through the tips and tricks, trying to navigate, find their way through this new system. We know it's a whole new world for us all. And so if you might have missed something as you were looking how to navigate through the schedule or find a certain speaker, just know that you can continue to access all of this information after the meeting wraps up. With that, I wanted to highlight a few items to hopefully help you in the days ahead, but also today as well. I'll be sharing my screen here in a moment. But one thing I did want to note especially is be sure to go and check out our exhibit hall. We've got a number of vendors who are in there. They are waiting to connect with you. Click on their booth, scroll down, go to the join the conversation and start chatting with them. Many of them have the option to create Zoom rooms so that you can have face-to-face interaction. We know it's not the same as in person, but believe me, the vendors that you know and love, that we all spend so much time with in between sessions, at breaks, they're there in the exhibit hall. Go check them out. A number of them too, for our young professionals, are also using their booths to host and serve as a virtual job fair. So don't miss out on the number of employment opportunities that are available. Second, we've had folks ask what the best way is to find a person, or maybe it's to find a person that you're looking specifically for their talk. So the best way to do this is for everybody in the meeting to make sure that you fill out your own personal profile. Be sure to include your company, include any links that you have, whether it be to LinkedIn or your professional web page or to social media, even if you'd like. But then also be sure, go and find that session that you are talking in, that you are presenting in. And in the upper right corner of that, you can click on a little link there, and it will say share this URL. And so you can include that in your profile so that when folks search you out or search for your session, you can have that direct link to your presentation in your profile. So hopefully that will help folks to kind of connect a little bit better. We know that that's been really the main focus and one of the issues that we wanted to make sure we addressed here in the virtual meeting. We don't want to lose that connectivity. SRMers, we love seeing everyone in the hallways. We know that's where so much networking gets done. Don't let that fall through. There's so many options here on Cadence to make that happen. So be sure to complete your profile, include as much information as you can so folks can connect with you. And then of course, also when you find somebody, use that break the ice button to connect with them, and then use the message system for direct messages. And then you can even transfer out of that and maybe go to email or to a Zoom room or something else. So just remember, there's options there, but we have to have you all help too in order to make that happen. So fill out your profile, put that information in there. One last item we wanted to go over is there are questions from folks in regards to the Q&A and the poster and presentation. So just wanted to give a quick rundown of how that all works. Again, you might be thinking, well, it's a little late for that. Today's the last day. But again, you'll be able to access these posters and presentations long after today and tomorrow wrap up. And while the Q&A with the presenters might not be live, you can still reach out to those authors and connect with them however you can, whether it be by finding them via their profile here, or you can always contact SRM if you were trying to connect with somebody and maybe can't find their information. So I wanted to share my screen really quick to show you all just very briefly, again, how the Q&A works and what the process is. All right, so here's my screen. If you are looking at your full schedule and you see the Q&A, today's Q&A's focus are ecosystem restoration, fire on rangelands, grazed ecosystems, rangeland habitat diversity, and wildlife habitat and management. So one of the ways that I think might be the most kind of streamlined and intuitive way to do this, find the Q&A that you're interested in attending today. Say you're interested in ecosystem restoration. Go ahead and click, and it comes up with the summary for that Q&A. Within the summary, there's a sentence saying, review their work here and come to the session with questions. Go ahead and click on that here button. This then takes you to all of the presentations that are included in that subject matter. So you'll see first here's the Q&A, and we've added some images here to help with the process. So go ahead and start scrolling, and you'll see all of the presentations and all of the authors that you'll be able to discuss in that Q&A that starts at 11:45 Mountain. And I think one of the really interesting and really unique things this year are the number of different formats that our authors have taken. You'll see here a number of videos. You'll see others that they've presented in websites. We also have folks with posters in PDF, but really folks have taken the virtual kind of floor and really run with it to create a unique experience. So as I scroll down here, there are definitely a lot of posters and sessions included here. But again, these are going to stay up here. You'll be able to come back to these. You'll be able to review them on your own. And even maybe you're dealing with some connection issues. For example, if you click on one, you can download them so that you can view them offline as well. So for this PDF, you can go up here to the download button, download it so that you can view it at a later time, or if you want to refer to it and talk to the author more, that is an option. So again, just wanted to go through that process, as we know it's always different when you're virtual and not in that physical meeting room. But again, if you do have questions, please go to the help desk. You can the chat section over here on your right-hand side, help desk here, and then you can always collapse it if you don't want to see it. I know folks have been wondering how to make things a little more streamlined, a little more visually appealing. So just make sure you collapse that down when you're not using it. All right, so with that, I was just checking the chats, make sure we don't have any questions there. So I wanted to go ahead and just give those few kind of last tips and tricks as you go into today. But then again, as you go into the rest of this year and the year ahead, the number of really of great information and presentations we have, I know folks have said there's not enough time. Well, you've got time now because all of this information is staying here and it will be here. And also, as we've mentioned before, the symposia that have been recorded, you can also find those will be housed within the meeting on the platform. And we are updating those each night and each evening so that folks can view them the next day. If you're going to be filling out your CEU form, take advantage of those recordings so that you can watch them. You know, this means that you don't have to be in two places at once. You can take advantage of that. To find those recordings, I'll share my screen just one more time. You could go to presentations and posters, scroll all the way down, and then we've got them all right here in recorded symposia and workshops. You can find them within the schedule too in their original kind of scheduled allotment and time slot. But this is a great way to find them all in one place. All right, with that, just wanted to provide those couple more kind of helpful tips and tricks, and always use this SRM help desk to contact us if you are having any issues within the platform. We will be sending out another survey. We got some great feedback from folks within one of the first surveys that we did, and we will be sending out another one here at the conclusion of the meeting tomorrow. So we appreciate the feedback. This is certainly a new virtual world for us all, a new platform, and we really appreciate everyone kind of working through this together and figuring this out and really taking advantage of this opportunity. And so with that, I will go ahead and close out the SRM business meeting from my end. If Jess or President Ortega have any last minute comments, they can jump in, but thank you everyone for being here this morning and for taking.
Yes, thank you very much to everybody that attended our business meeting. We are going to be here for the rest of the day, participating in some of the sessions, and I hope to see you all in Albuquerque. Thank you.
All righty, we had a quick question there. Great work all. I just saw that come up on the comments there. How do we apply for CEU? So I'm pulling in Allison here, pulling in Leah.
I've just included the link there.
There you go.
Find the CEU.
All righty. Oh, you went on mute there, Kelly. Okay.
Allison responded. I've included the link here to the form, and like Allison noted, that CEU form is on our CPRM committee webpage, and it's also coming to you right here in link form.
All righty. We might just take another minute there in case there's any other questions coming up here, Kelly. That was a great information. I took some time, looked over the trade show. The trade show's looking solid. You've got a lot of good things going on here, so we might just take another minute now in case folks have any other questions. You get to see Kelly in person, not just the help desk, and of course, your 2021 President Poncho Ortega. So we've got just a few more minutes here on the interactive side that we can make sure we're following up. If there are any other questions out there, we're looking at the chat box and making sure if there's anything else we missed here this morning that we can address it.
Yeah, and folks, you can go right from this business meeting, go into those posters and presentations. You've got the next hour to look through those. Again, that Q&A portion, which again, the Q&A takes you into a live Zoom with authors so that you can ask those questions. That starts at 11:45 Mountain. So from now until then, that is your time to go and view those posters and presentations.
Absolutely. And on top of that, remember yesterday, we recognized some of our top award recipients, and oftentimes it comes from research and it comes with interaction. So today is your opportunity when you looked up, like I did, all those incredible award recipients yesterday, saying, how does a person accomplish that? You do it here coming up here in the next session. Of course, Kelly, we have this afternoon, we have the student awards competition coming up. And you're going to see President Ortega helping out there. But Kelly, why don't you just make sure folks know where to tune in? So we're kind of bouncing and rolling. But folks, the student competitions, the students are still competing this year. Pretty exciting stuff as we roll into this afternoon here. Kelly, you want to tell them just a little bit about what they have in store at Student Awards?
Absolutely. Don't forget about the Student Awards. That is taking place this afternoon starting at 4:30 Mountain. Again, you can find that right here in your schedule. Click on it and join. It is, you all know, if you've been to a student award session before, there are a lot of moving pieces, and it is going to be no different here this afternoon in the virtual format. We've been going over all the possible scenarios of looping folks in and making sure we make it the most for our students who have really hung in there and really taken advantage and engaged in these competitions. So don't forget to miss out, to take part in the student competition later today.
So you're telling me there might be some live interactions, there might be some cheering from the students, Kelly, or to be determined? They have to tune in and find out.
Got to tune in to find out. Tune in to find out.
All right, and then Poncho put some more money out there too. So I mean, this is going to be a big afternoon, folks, a big afternoon. So again, technical sessions, presentations are coming up here. Check those out. Check out the trade show. A lot of great outstanding activities. And for those of you already presented, as Kelly mentioned, you were bouncing around the last couple of days. Those are going to be live. That's the cool thing about the Cadence platform. So if you're just overwhelmed right now, which is typically how an annual meeting works out, you got a lot of coming at you. Great. Tune in next week, because we know you're not going to be traveling too much in the weeks ahead. So get on back to the SRM Cadence website. Check out all the good stuff we have. Thanks again for joining us at this business meeting. Thank you, Kelly, and your team and colleagues in our planning committee for all the hard work, extra time you've been putting into it. Doing an incredible job. President Ortega, you want to take us home here as we go into our next set of sessions?
Yes, thank you very much to everybody for attending. I will see you in some of the sessions. I will be in the habitat management. Thank you.
Everybody. This wraps up the business meeting. Thanks, everybody.